Alright guys, sunny Northampton, just come out of the gym. Getting back into it at the minute, so it's mainly treadmill. I just want to get another couple of kilos back down. I mean, it's not as bad as it was when was it? A few months back when I come back from Spain last time. I managed to keep a lot of the weight down, so I think another week and I'll be back where I was before I went to Spain. But yeah, I just want to sort of just have a general chat today, because I keep seeing a lot of the stuff on the media, which is what I keep saying about trying to keep out of a lot of the crap stuff. See, if you watch Fast Jet, Black Belt Barrister, Lotus Eaters, and a lot of those other ones that are similar content, you will see that they all talk about the same stuff. And the left probably do the same as well. There's no way I'd get any left media in my stuff. I'd just see straight through it. But the point being is, if you get yourself swamped with this negative stuff constantly, it's not helpful, it's not healthy. It just becomes nothing but a non-stop moan. We know all these problems are there. We know there's all these things going on. But the reality is, the landscape for debating seems almost non-existent now. Media streams seem to be one side or the other, predominantly all on the left side, unfortunately. But it's the debate that's missing, because the debate would actually highlight a lot of the obvious stuff that they can't be falsified. I mean, they can try and falsify it, but obviously once you've got a two-way conversation going with real facts, it becomes very difficult to lie. But my point being is, there's more to life than getting dragged down in this stuff. And I've seen people talk about the cost of living as well. That's another one that I find an obvious problem, but even that is often strange. When you look at the big picture, I've seen it earlier, they're on about rustlers, which I think are like the pre-packed burgers and stuff. They go, oh look, they're £3.50. Guys, you're getting a pre-packed bun with a chicken fillet or something in it, or a hamburger. Go to Little Aldi and you can get like 4 Angus steaks and a pack of brioche or whatever they are for about the same price, but 4 times as many and better quality. World is changing, and I'm not getting into a gripe here, I'm just stating the obvious, which is the reality is they keep denying about the UK population growth because the figures are miles off, but the reality is the demand for everything is here. I can see the changes demographically just in Northampton, because the change is in your face. And it's not because I'm a racist, it's because I can bloody see the differences of what was here when I arrived originally to what we have now. And I'm not from Northampton, I've only been here a few years. But I've seen the same in Worcester. When Worcester University opened itself up from a college to a university, the whole town, well, it's a city because of the cathedral, the whole dynamic and community started to deteriorate once you started importing students from other parts of the UK and overseas. Because the reality is, like me, I can leave Northampton, I wouldn't batter an eyelid about the place. I'm actually looking at other places. But in all honesty, I've got no connection here. I used to have a connection with Worcester, but I realised, was it a few months back, that I've been married 20 years. That means I haven't lived in Worcester for over 20 years. So I probably wouldn't even recognise it these days. But it was changing when I was leaving. You could see it. The houses were being bought up as HMOs for student accommodation. Students are like to party and have fun because they're not next door to their mum and dad or whatever. They can be a pain in the backside. They do cause problems, and they devalue the area. So I get it, and we've got it going on around us all the time now. The crimes seem to be getting worse. Being told to lock your doors because these people come from a low trust society, I assume, so they used to, if you leave your door open, it's fair game to rob you. I have been in environments like that. I've been in environments where I'm told that I'm supposed to check employees and stuff because I'm a rich foreigner, and they assume they can steal from me. So if I catch them, it's just, oh yeah, you caught us. It's not a problem. There is not an issue from stealing from me. And that wasn't in the UK, by the way. That's from being overseas. The reality is, we have a lot of environments being imported and cultures and standards that aren't aligned, and they're not going to be aligned. Many haven't been aligned. What's going on there? Oh, it's a football match. But what I'm pointing at is, we can all be doom and gloom and whinge about this stuff. I look at the realities of it. Yeah, okay, I have to lock my door more. Fine. Because I can't do much about the politics of it, and I can't do much about the responses we get from some on dealing with crime and whatever. What I can do is look to protect myself and the family. And luckily enough, I am my family in the UK, because my family all reside in Spain now. But on top of this, I look at people talking about the cost of living. Simple one for you. Look at what you're eating, because I know myself, I eat a lot of crap. Also, if I buy beer up here, I think it's about £8 for a pack of 4, but much cheaper in Aldi and Lidl. But also, it's looking for, if you're looking for beer, getting stuff that's actually hops rather than chemical. Get something that's a little bit traditional and healthier. The same as my diet is more traditional and healthier. It's preparing the food. It's not getting processed crap. I rent a house. I rent a room in a house here. I can afford to rent a house, but I just wouldn't. I just wouldn't. There's several reasons actually. Firstly, I pay £500 a month rent here for the room. I don't have to worry about council tax. I don't have to worry about electric, water, any bills. It's £500, that's it. Not interested. But the peace of mind is being in a house with about, I think it's 6 people, different, because it's a big house. Firstly, it's a good house. Everybody's working, so nobody's really bothering each other. In fact, you don't really see or hear each other unless you actually go out your way to find somebody. Everyone's just sort of doing their own thing. Nobody's bothering each other. But it means that it's less likely to get burgled as well. So I look at the way, if I've got a house here, I've got all the additional bills. I've got the risk of it being burgled because I spend, months in Spain. And it's just hemorrhages cash. There's no real benefit. You go, oh yeah, but you get the bigger space. Right. TV license. I don't want a TV license. I get a garden. I've got a field over there. I've got a park. Well, literally, I've got a park opposite the house, so I can go to the park, and we have got a little garden that we sit in. But I don't really need that much privacy here, because bear in mind I'm married, so I've already got a house in Spain. I've got a wife and kids in Spain. My house is cheaper than my monthly rent in the UK. My mortgage is what, €390, and then the bills work out. Yeah, it's probably working out about £500 a month all in. So I've got a 3-bedroom house by the beach that's cost me as much as a 1-room in a place in Northampton. The cost of living in the UK is excessive, but at the same time, you adapt to it. What's your long-term goal? What you're going to achieve? So what I focus on is, okay, £500 a month is dead money. But you know, get other people say only fools rent, only fools rent. Yeah, you put money in a property, you're locked to the property. If I, you know, I might gauge renting, buying a house, then renting the other rooms out. But do I really want that long-term buy-in in the UK these days? Probably not. Reality is, areas are declining, so you might find this is all right this week, and then you get some rough-uns move in, which is very likely these days. And if you rent, I just move. It's not my problem. And I think this is one of the things we need to understand. A lot of it is about limiting your risks. We're not going to change the problems in the UK overnight. The UK is going down the pan rapidly financially and every other way going. But it doesn't mean that we should sit there and cry into our cup of tea or whatever. We should be working on what we want to achieve ourselves. This isn't new. This isn't new. Historically, change has always come. If you look back to the 50s and 60s and how turbulent it was with wars in the Middle East and things like that, and you go back to the Cold War, then you look at the Korean War, the Vietnam War, World War II, World War One. There has always been something. And the war we've got at the moment is more of a proxy soft war, but they all come to the end. The UK's got a very strange position because the economy relies on the workers, and there ain't that many workers. So once the workers start heading abroad or whatever, the economy will have to adapt to make it more realistic for people to stay. So we're going to go through a transition. And I know some of you guys will be thinking, yeah, but how long? How long? You're worrying about it. Don't worry about it. Just say, I'll deal with it when it happens. I've got other things to do. So like me, I could whinge about the cost of a Mars bar. Oh, I don't need Mars bars. But the reality is I look at it this way. I'm focusing now on the farm for Spain, starting to look at different farms. My degrees come through, so I've now got my distinction level 7. That's good. I want to do an MBA next, because an MBA in theory is worth about an extra 10 grand a year to me. So doing a accelerated MBA, because I've already got a lot of the document backgrounds from my master's equivalent, means I could do the MBA in 9 months. I've started a new job, so I'm starting to evolve that. I start thinking about the hives for November. To go and see the hives in Barcelona and Madrid. Because my son just goes, we'll go with a concert. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, it's going to cost me about €1,000. But I don't mind, because you know what? Spend time with my son is priceless. Because I'll get that sudden age where they hate their dad and just do their teenage things. So I'm enjoying it while I can. Because at the moment, it's not that stage where they know everything. Because once they hit the know everything stage, you lose them for a few years. So enjoying it while I can. But then I'm also got Rock for Cancer for September. Rock Against Cancer, sorry, not for cancer, against cancer. So I focus on those things, which are the positive things. The negative aspects, you've got to sort of filter out the noise. I've stopped listening to a lot of the stuff that comes through on the YouTube lately, because it's just whining. The same as I've had a few people whining at me regularly on the phone calls and stuff, and I get it, you know, but guys, once it hits so many weeks, it's time to move on to something else. So it's important that you recognize if you're complaining a lot, if you're not fixing it and doing something about it, you're now part of the problem. Now, I get we've got all the other issues going on here in the UK, but right now, nothing I could do to change anything. So I'm not avoiding it. I'm just not involved with it. There's nothing I can do. I don't hate anybody. I don't dislike anybody. I'm not blaming anybody. I'm not telling anybody they should be doing this or I should be doing that. It's more a case of we'll see where we end up. You know, we're going to have to wait to the next election. That's pretty much it. Who's going to be running the next election? I don't even want to guess that at the minute. But the path we're on at the moment can't continue. It's as simple as that. Financially, I think Labour have crashed the economy. And the thing with that, it has this sort of, what do they call it? Drag. So we're not going to see the mess that is here for probably about 4 months. And then we'll start seeing changes. And we'll start seeing the impact. But right now, let's just focus on now what we're doing. It's the weekend, chill out, do stuff that we like doing, read a book, start a college course, go to the gym and get a sweat on. I stink now. Yeah, well, that's not me having a bath, by the way. It's just stopped me dripping. Because the thing is, my arms and that are dripping. But ultimately, we just got to keep carrying on regardless. And the key to all of this is we just need to be less ranty and more focused. Another thing is not telling other people what they should be doing either, because I'm not being funny. As soon as you tell me what to do, I'll just ignore you anyway. So reality is, that's what most people do. As soon as you tell somebody you must do this, they start doing the complete opposite. That's just human nature, unfortunately. You know, I'm quite easygoing and just trying to get through the feather duster. Just getting through life. I mean, I'm excited for the farm because I think that'll be a good project for the channels. I'm excited if I can get the village idea developed, because I think the village will be fantastic. Because the village will be able to develop a community for a long term and hopefully help develop the farmers. See, here's me acting like a twat as an NGO, non-government organisation, as if the farmers don't know what they need. What I actually mean is bring new people into the community, not interfere in what the farmers are doing. What I mean is there were older generations, and bringing new people to the area that want to be part of that community will give them labour and stuff that they need for farming. That's what I'm talking about. Not going in there telling a farmer how to plough a field or whatever. That's just not happening. I'm not even getting into that game. But it keeps coming back to llamas. It keeps coming with llama and jumpers. There's just this vision of these handmade jumpers out of llama wool. It keeps becoming a conversation piece now, because I mentioned it once and now I keep thinking about it every time I get onto these hippie type conversations. That's not what I'm looking at. What I'm looking at is trying to find job opportunities for adults with learning difficulty. I'll get the farmstead first for me, because it's a family unit, but I want to be able to make it accessible to friends and families, which isn't too difficult with, we're talking my bloodline family. There only is me, so that's nice and easy because I don't talk to anyone else anymore. Parents have already died, and one of my brothers has died. I don't talk to the remaining siblings. But anyway, long story short, creating an environment where I can create some work. And it doesn't, this is why I was laughing about the farming, because the farmers will already have work that we can help create it around an adult safe environment where, adults with learning difficulties. Because I want to get it to like a small village where people know that village has a lot of people there with learning difficulties, in the sense of you're going to get a lot more speed ramps there. You're going to get a lot more road access for wheelchairs and stuff like that. Doors are wider and stuff like that for the community. But instead of people whinging about speed ramps and stuff, they already know they're going into an area where everybody's part of the same community. Everybody's slowed down because it's so we keep everyone safe. But on top of that, everyone looking out for each other and keeping it safe for people, so we don't have any, keep crime down and other things. That's where I want it. where it's a community a little bit further out, so that everybody knows each other, everyone looks after each other, and it's a bloody complicated project. But if I get it right, it could be the legacy from when I finally popped my clogs that made a little bit of a difference somewhere. I gave adults with learning difficulty a future, created jobs. But just as important, their parents know they can die knowing their kids that are now adults are in an environment that looks after them and they're part of that environment. So there may be a case I end up creating co-ops and stuff for, I don't know, solar power generation. I've started to, you want to look this up, guys, have a look at this. People are already illegally doing it in the UK. They're called balcony solar, and what is balcony solar? What else do they call it? Plug-in solar. They're basically smaller, like 800 watts systems. You basically just plug in, with a socket. But they're, instead of having like a full array, they're much cheaper to buy, and obviously you can buy them bit by bit, so you can have more than one in the house. I'm not telling you what not to do, but it's definitely worth looking at. But there's an example where they're starting to appear in Spain, because I see some this morning. I'm actually trying to speak to the agent about it, because that's a good example of introducing cheaper electricity for an area. Because let's face it, up in Almira, which is where we're going to be heading, I believe they're a big solar generator, so it may be a case of I can get the supply cheap anyway by buying it directly off the farms and setting up a small cooperative solar business, so that this solar feeds a town, a village, or whatever we end up with, but we get a negotiated rate directly off the farmers, and it's all sort of embedded that any profits made goes back into the community, all that sort of stuff. The same with doing Wi-Fi and stuff, Wi-Fi internet. Instead of having like every house having an internet, we set up repeaters and stuff. I believe that's how it was originally done. Wasn't it done in Hawaii with the university students? I think that's the original Wi-Fi setup. But the point being is, we can lower the costs overall for everybody, but at the same time try and encourage that there is money put into the community funds so that the community constantly evolves. I'm sounding like a bloody socialist, aren't I? But it's more a case of, it's not what I want. That's why I'm different from socialists. It's what the community want. So everything just goes to the vote. So if everybody wants to spend it all on Christmas fireworks and they all vote for it, that's where all the money goes. I don't really care. It's whatever everybody wants, and even adults with learning difficulties get the same votes as everybody else, because there's no degree of separation. Because I know kids love fireworks the same as young adults and myself. So, but the whole point is, I'm trying to give the same levels of responsibilities and abilities to live a life with as much freedom as possible to young adults, and create jobs and do whatever. So anyway, gone off tangent. Big project, big ideas. We'll see if we get there. Be good if I do, though, because it's not me going to benefit. It's probably going to take 10 years off my life, but hey ho, if it helps, it helps. Thanks for watching.